Welcome to NBC Sports World. Today from Houston, Texas, it's the United States Gymnastics Championships. The best gymnasts in the country vying for the 1988 national title, as well as a spot on the U.S. Olympic team. For the women, 15-year-old Phoebe Mills from Northfield, Illinois, is tied for first place going into today's optionals. Mills shares the lead with 16-year-old dynamo Hope Spivey from Allentown, Pennsylvania. The 1987 U.S. champion Christy Phillips, currently in 10th place, is in a desperate fight to make the Olympic team. For the men, the defending men's champion Scott Johnson is injured and not in the competition. The current leader, Dan Hayden, former Arizona State star. In second place, spectacular Charles Lakes. He finished second in last year's Nationals. Will also follow the dramatic comeback of '84 Olympian Tim Daggett. It's the best in U.S. gymnastics fighting for national prestige and a trip to the Seoul Olympics. All today on NBC Sports World. Welcome to the summit in Houston, Texas. A crowd gathering to witness the best gymnasts in the United States, men and women, with a distant eye towards Seoul, Korea and the Olympics, and an immediate focus upon a national championship. That'll be decided in the all-around today, both men and women. 10 weeks away from Seoul and just 4 weeks away from the U.S. Olympic trials, and 40% of the scores here will determine the Olympic team. I'm Dick Enberg, and joining me, two individuals with a glitter of gold from '84, both with 10s, Mary Lou Retton and Bart Connor. And Bart, talk first about Scott Johnson, your teammate in '84. He won the title last year in the all-around, but is injured this year.
Yeah, Scott broke his hand. He had a couple of screws put in his hand 5 weeks ago, and I think he'll be all right in time for the trials. Dan Hayden, however, looks very strong here. He's beefed up his level of difficulty, and I think he'll be able to hold on to the lead. But the story that's been most interesting to follow was that of Tim Daggett. Remember when we were in Holland and Tim broke his leg very badly? I mean, we both agreed that there's almost no way he could be ready in time for the '88 team. Well, he surprised a lot of people, including himself. He looks very good here, and it'll be interesting to see how well he can do in the optionals today, because those, of course, are more demanding on his leg. An interesting kid to watch out for is Lance Ringnold. He's 18 years old from New Mexico, and he might just sneak a spot on that '88 team as well.
That's an interesting contrast. Ringnold only 18, and that is young for a male gymnast. And then the veteran Tim Daggett. He personifies courage as he tries to recover from the shattering of his leg and make the '88 Olympic team. Mary Lou Retton. Last year, we were singing the praises of Christy Phillips, age 15. She was going to be the new Mary Lou Retton, and then her star has fallen.
Christy is going through a very difficult period right now. She changed gym schools. Now she's back with Bella Karolyi. She's dealing with a totally different body. Christy has a lot of hard work ahead of her. On the other hand, we have two co-leaders right now, Phoebe Mills, the expected one, and a surprise leader, Hope Spivey. Hope just kind of snuck up in there, and I think she's here to win this competition. And a newcomer to the scene, I think a name everyone should remember, is Brandy Johnson. Brandy is one of the most powerful gymnasts that I've seen in a very long time.
So all the top gymnasts in the nation, men and women, are here in Houston, Texas. The women will start first, vying for the title, best in the USA.
And after the compulsories, here are the leaders. Hope Spivey and Phoebe Mills tied for first. Garrison Steves third. Yamashiro is fourth. Tie for fifth between Gunthorpe and Brandy Johnson. Christy Phillips, the defending champion, is 10th. 40% of today's activities will count toward the total score and the national championship. Kelly Garrison Steves at 21 is the oldest gymnast of all the top competitors, 3 years the eldest, in fact, and the only married competitor. She'll be a senior this fall at the University of Oklahoma. She's on the vault first, third place after the compulsories.
Kelly performs a nice, clean, round-off back handspring layout salto. It's a relatively easy vault for Kelly. She's been having some difficulty the past couple of weeks with the vault, and I think she's just relieved that it's over with. You can see her approach is good. She hits the board fine. Nice hand placement, straight body through the air. Takes a little hop on the ending. It's just not up to the par difficulty for this competition.
So the veteran, a careful but a clean vault. She is the defending collegiate champion. Each of the last 2 years she's won the NCAA, and a 9.50. Not great, but glad to be finished with her weakest event. And here's the weakest event for the co-leader, Hope Spivey.
Nice high delta. Hope works bars well, but she has a little bit form breaks. If you can watch her feet come apart. Here they go again. Nice half in, half out dismount. Ooh, a little low.
Well, not a good way to start for Hope Spivey, the 16-year-old from Allentown, Pennsylvania. Works with the Parkettes, Bill and Donna Strauss.
She's very strong, but if you can see, her legs come apart quite often. She just opens up a little soon on that dismount and causes her to take 2 big steps, 1/10 each.
9.40 for the spunky Spivey. That'll knock her out of first place, but her stronger events are yet to come. And for the veteran Garrison Steves, she has dropped to 4th place with that total of 53.92. 17-year-old Ronda Fain on the vault, 9.75 on her first vault. Remember, she scored a 10 in last year's Nationals in this event. She's currently tied for 7th place after the compulsories.
That was a good one. Good one.
Karolyi jumped to about as high as the vault when she completed that, sticking that vault, so that should improve the 9.75, taking the better of the 2.
Ronda knew what she had to do, and she did it. What a solid landing.
Little separation in the legs.
She does separate them, but she gets them back together.
And the judges scored a perfect 10 for Ronda Fain. She repeats last year's perfect vault. So Ronda Fain tied for 7th place after the compulsories. What a marvelous way for her to begin the optional competition, firing a perfect 10 on that second vault.
Psychologically, she is pumped now.
Christy Phillips on the floor exercise.
Starting out with the full in back somersault in the pike position was a little low, but that's something Christy, she's so coordinated. Those low landings, she can just bring them around and make them look good. Christy's personality is something that she can work with. She works with the crowd, and as you can notice, her floor music is something that gets the crowd involved. You can clap to it. And Bella specifically picked that music for Christy.
Well, at 16, her biological clock has changed. A young woman now, taller, heavier, as you mentioned.
Nice second pass. That's a new pass for Christy. Performs it quite easy, too. Yeah, she is dealing with a totally new body. Similar to the same thing that Tracy Talavera went through years back.
The defending national champion, Christy Phillips from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Back with Karolyi. Why?
I really needed to change my motivation. I was kind of depressed, going in and doing the same thing every day, for 4 years was a long time. And so I felt that, I needed to change out there. And once I went out there, we weren't getting not half as many hours as we were at Karolyi's. And so I felt that, I was kind of slacking off and I wasn't, there's no way I could get where I wanted to get on 26 hours a week. So I really needed to go back to Bella's and start working harder and about 40 hours a week. So it was a lot different.
9.45, a disappointing score. When you're in 10th place, that's just a holding score, not one that will move her up in the standings. Oh, what a huge difference a year makes. And we'll be back with more of the McDonald's U.S. Gymnastics Championships. On the road to Seoul, Dick Enberg with Bart Connor and Mary Lou Retton. The summit in Houston, some 11,000 fans for the McDonald's U.S. Gymnastics Championships.
On the vault, Phoebe Mills, co-leader with Hope Spivey entering this optional round. Many feel that she is the star of the future, a determined 15-year-old from Northfield, Illinois, one of the many in the camp of Bella Karolyi. Intense and focused is the way Karolyi describes this young woman. And here's the second vault.
And she sticks it. She fought it a little, but she did.
Good, all right.
Nice hand placement on the horse. Straight body. Her legs are together this time. She tried so hard to stick it a little bit forward.
Phoebe Mills, a 9.85 on her second vault. So Mills moves into sole possession of first place with 3 events to go. Well, in any sport, just as it is difficult to give up the old-timer, the veteran, the star, so it is exciting to greet the new one. Here she is, Brandy Johnson. Brandy, named by her parents after the song of 15, 16 years ago. Brandy, you're a fine girl, and she is a fine young gymnast. She was the junior champion in Kansas City in the all-around last year. Again, from the Bella Karolyi School. She's from Orlando, Florida. Will be a high school sophomore next year. And she is explosive, Mary Lou.
She really burst onto the senior level competition. She was a junior national champion, and now she is just hanging in there with the senior girls. And she is a vaulter.
Great speed.
Nice round back handspring layout full.
Terrific height for Brandy Johnson.
Not only height that Brandy gets, distance. Watch how far away from the horse she gets, and that's where you can determine your good vaulters and your great vaulters.
Well, you were a great vaulter, and maybe the reason why you were attracted to her is you find some similarities.
I may be a little biased, but we do sort of have the same body type. But she's a good vaulter.
9.85 on the first vault for Brandy Johnson. Tied for 5th coming into the optional rounds with Stacy Gunthorpe. Now her second vault.
And she nailed it. A little shuffle of the feet, but she tried hard.
We'll see whether the judges scored that higher than a 9.85. Regardless, a good score for Johnson.
Good placement on the horse, straight body. You can see the little bitty hop at the end.
9.90 on the second vault for Brandy Johnson. So she continues to hold her position and may move up from the 5th spot. And a name and a pretty young face to remember. With dreams of a perfect 10, perhaps, let's look at the scores of the top performers after the first event of the Final 4 in the optional round. Phoebe Mills in sole possession of first place. Hope Spivey second. Brandy Johnson leaps into the 3rd spot. And the veteran Kelly Garrison Steves is 4th. Ronda Fain vaulting into the top 5 with that perfect 10. Do Yamashiro is 6th, and Christy Phillips moves up 1 notch to 9th after her floor exercise. And coming up from Houston, the second rotation, the beam, and we'll take a look at Hope Spivey. Welcome back. The best in the U.S. warming up for the second rotation. The 1988 National Championship is on the line. And this Houston crowd certainly is behind the comeback of Christy Phillips, now in 9th place. She, of course, trains here with Bella Karolyi. She's on the vault, trying to improve upon her first vault score of 9.5, currently in 9th place.
It is much better. That's something about Christy Phillips. She makes the mistake and she corrects it.
Something else about her, she is a gamer, as they say in other sports. She may not do well in practice, but she comes through in competition. She likes to work in front of the crowd.
I worked out with Christy for a couple years, and that's very true. She has a little trouble with her workouts, but she is a performer, and she works very well under pressure.
And she comes through on that second vault, a 9.70 for Christy Phillips. That might help her up another notch from 9th. A year ago, she was the toast of U.S. Gymnastics. Christy Phillips, #1 in the all-around. It was a year of tumult for her. In Rotterdam, she was 45th in the world. In disappointment, she moved from Bella Karolyi here in Houston to the West Coast, Olympic coach Don Peters, and then just shortly moved back here to Houston and is studying once again, training with Karolyi. Bella Karolyi, a man who is controversial within his own ranks, and earlier, in chatting with Bart Connor, offered us a startling statement.
Talking about the political side of things, I understand your role in Seoul is to be the chief of the delegation. Has that changed?
Yeah, it used to be till today noon when I resigned from that position. Due to consideration, I don't believe, I can help in a program and in a general situation where people are absolutely and uniquely running on their own private interest and not watching the general interest, which would be the high performance, helping the athletes, pushing the program forward as far as we can go.
Mike Jackie, the executive director of the U.S. Gymnastics Federation, then responded to the comments of Karolyi.
Now, perhaps it's the emotion of the moment, but Bella just said he's not going to Seoul regardless.
Well, I was there, obviously, and I know it was the emotion of the moment. At the same time, I've got to talk to him. The Federation has to talk to him. The coaches know he needs to be involved. We need to have him involved. It's my intention to make sure it happens.
And the other coach in this formula, somewhat controversial and confusing, is the Olympic head coach, Don Peters.
Now, Mike Jackie just told us that he definitely wants Bella Karolyi there. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think, he's a big part of our program. I think he should, be involved in everything that we do. I think it's, I don't really think any of this is really necessary.
What about Marta's involvement with the team?
Marta's a great coach. See, one of the reasons I selected Marta as my assistant coach, as one of my assistants, is because I feel she's one of the best balance beam coaches in the world. And meets are won and lost on the balance beam. And when we get into Seoul, we will have been in it through a 5-week training period with the kids all together as a group. I need somebody that can keep those kids on that balance beam, and I really feel she's the right person to do that. And I think we're going to do a great job.
So Bella's wife, Marta, will be on the floor in Seoul, but Bella apparently will stay home. I find that incredible. The most powerful influence in women's gymnastics not going to the Olympics. Will he change his mind, Mary Lou?
No, Dick, I really don't. The only way I see Bella going is if Don Peters hands the job over to Bella.
Hope Spivey currently in second place on that precarious piece of lumber, only 4 inches wide. Often the separator in these championships.
Beam is the critical event. Hope had a little wobbly warm-up. She seems to be a little shaky in the routine. I think she's starting to feel the pressure. She seems a little rushed. She's not finishing her movements. And it's very difficult, especially on balance beam. When you wobble at the beginning of your routine, it seems like you shake throughout the whole routine. And believe me, those little bobbles can add up. Nice layout back somersault to a back handspring. She was supposed to have another skill after that. She was a little shaky. There it is.
Big baseball fan, loves the Mets. Darryl Strawberry and Gary Carter, her favorites.
A nice high double back somersault.
Hope Spivey. Here's Ronda Fain on the uneven bars.
For as big of a body as Ronda has, she can swing bars. Nice giant full, another giant full. To high reverse hack with the mixed script.
She may be feeding off that 10 in the vault, moving her into the 5th spot.
Giant swing, another full pirouette. Double twist off. Little hop on the landing. Great routine.
We'll check Ronda Fain's score, but first Hope Spivey sees that she earned a 9.50 on the beam. And now Ronda Fain, after that 10 in the vault, a 9.75 in the unevens. Fain's teammate Phoebe Mills is in first place. She'll be on the unevens in the second rotation when we return to the McDonald's U.S Gymnastics Championships. Phoebe Mills from that incredible family in the Chicago area, speed skating champions, a brother and a sister, and she herself a 500-meter champion in her earlier life, and now one of the world's top gymnasts.
Starts with a nice high reverse hect. Another reverse hect into a mixed grip. Phoebe's legs come apart just a little bit on her upswing for her handstand. Nice routine. I think it could have been performed a little bit better. Dismount was a little low.
But she, if disappointed at all, disguised it well with that smile.
Giant reverse heck right over the bar. Notice her hands are mixed grip. Swings over the bar, nice and long.
Our unique camera angle to really be right up there with the gymnast.
I think you really get a good perspective of actually how much that bar actually bends.
And how thick it is. Small hands being such a handicap.
It's actually hollow fiberglass with a wood lamination around the top so that the chalk sticks to it.
And the score on the unevens, a 9.70 for Phoebe Mills, who will be in the 11th grade this fall. Her confidence really seems to be building. It appears that she's at that wonderful stage where she knows she's really good. On her second of 4 events, Brandy Johnson in 3rd place. It's the uneven bars. She needs a 9.75 to move into 2nd place. A relative unknown before this competition. She was in the juniors last year and finished #1 in Kansas City, and now battling to make a huge splash here in Houston, Texas. Brandy Johnson.
She has such incredible upper body strength, and it shows. Her release moves are so high. She does a reverse heck that's going to be coming up at the beginning of her routine. Here it comes. Watch how high. Way above the bar. Oh.
So there's 0.5 of a point off.
She had it at her fingertips and just missed it barely.
That's going to hurt her overall score and maybe defines why she's 15. But what a talent. The rest looked mighty solid.
And it was. That's got to be a disappointment for her.
Now, Bella Karolyi, in essence, has this girl hiding a bit, and she's not unlike your story. We didn't know an awful lot about Mary Lou Retton before the Olympic Games. You didn't compete in some of the major championships. By design.
That's right. Bella, I think, in a sense, kept me in the closet, and it helped to my advantage. I went into the Olympics without competing in a world championship competition, was relatively an unknown gymnast on the international scene.
So the judges didn't know your strengths nor your weaknesses. You were a fresh new talent.
That's right, and one of my weaknesses was flexibility, and if they had seen me over the years, they would have looked for that and really critiqued me hard on that.
Brandy Johnson here is the negative in her routine.
Starts off with a nice high reverse hecht. Swings back, goes for a front somersault in between the bars. She had it and just fell off. She had it at the fingertips and she was just reaching just a little bit too much.
And her score, oh my, 8.95. Of course, 5/10 of that coming on the major fault, the fall, but where did the judges find the rest of the deductions? All right, let's go to Kelly Garrison Steves, 4th place after the vault. She repeated this year, 1988, as the National Collegiate All-Around Champion. Quite a story. At 21 and married, she goes home after practice and shares household duties with her husband, Mark, while the rest of the young competitors go out to the ice cream parlor and try to decide, well, will it be bubble gum as our flavor today?
Starts with the straddle over. Nice high reverse hecht. To a Delchev. Giant swing, giant full. To a double pike flyaway. Nice clean routine.
Kelly Garrison Steves, she needs a 9.65 to pass Brandy Johnson and regain her 3rd place position in the competition.
Reverse hecht. Nice catch. She was in perfect position for to catch the bar. Right into a Delchev. Nice drop to the low bar. Kelly has good form on bars. You can see her legs don't split apart as Hope Spivey's do. Again, that comes from experience. Nice pike, double flyaway.
Just a little hop on the end. But Kelly Garrison Steves, consistent and solid. You know, she was happy with her performance. And the judges score it 9.75 for Kelly Garrison Steves. She moves back into 3rd place. And NBC Sports World continues with this major pre-Olympic competition from the summit in Houston with the 1988 Men's All-Around Championship. Earlier today in the men's competition, the leader after the compulsories was 23-year-old New Yorker Dan Hayden, Marine tough, former Arizona State star. Bart Connor, the top gymnast in the world all-arounds, was Hayden in Rotterdam.
Yeah, Dan was 22nd in Rotterdam, and one of the reasons why he didn't place higher, even though he had a great meet, was the fact that he didn't have enough difficulty in his floor routine and in his vault. And much of the reason for that, of course, is because he's had some serious ankle injuries and hasn't been able to beef up his tumbling skills. But you can see here as he finishes on floor, really good, strong punch. He seems to be very healthy and very confident right now.
Hayden's floor typical of his performance throughout all 6 events, solid and consistent, never relinquishing the lead. Dan Hayden captures the 1988 National All-Around title. In 2nd behind Hayden, Kevin Davis from the University of Nebraska.
And Kevin has improved a great deal. I think he showed at this competition that he definitely deserves a spot on the '88 Olympic team. You can see in his high bar routine, he beefed up his difficulty with a move here called a one-armed Tkachev. A really nice combination. The Tkachev was invented by a Soviet gymnast. Really nice, clean lines and a good rhythm to his exercise. It seems to have a nice, flowing look. He's doing all the difficulty, and yet it doesn't look difficult. Beautiful laid-out double back. Great exercise.
21-year-old Davis hounded Hayden with his all-around talent, but could never catch the leader. Then there was high-flying Charlie Lakes from Southern California. He finished 3rd.
And this is the only perspective to really get a good idea to see what Charlie Lakes is doing. He does the most complicated routine, and watch this release move. He's going to do a front flip or a Jaeger, and look at the height. He goes completely out of frame on this. Nobody in the world does it quite like that.
Lakes looking to become the first black to compete for the United States in the Olympic Games.
That's right, because back in 1980, Ron Gallimore made the team, but that, of course, was the year that we boycotted. Look at the beautiful line in the air on that layout double back.
Oh, my. No one more spectacular than Charlie Lakes. And then we had a relative youngster challenging for an Olympic spot, just 18, Lance Ringnold from Albuquerque. He finished in a tie for 6th.
And so many of us thought that even though Lance is a great young gymnast, that he could perhaps not be quite ready for 1988. He was going to be the new generation of U.S. Gymnastics, although he proved here that he is really a contender for this year's team.
Ringnold scoring well on what was considered his weakest event, the rings.
He really shows a nice combination of excellent strength work as well as good swing, and that's difficult for an 18-year-old. You usually don't see very many 18-year-olds with that kind of upper body strength and that kind of control of the rings. Look at that dismount, laid out double back. A great young gymnast.
So can the Olympic rings be within his young grasp? So the United States all-around champion, 1988, Dan Hayden, former star at Arizona State. By the way, his twin brother Dennis finished 11th. The other top gymnast for the United States as we look ahead to the Olympics, Kevin Davis is second. Charlie Lakes finishes third. Davis's Nebraska teammate Tom Schlesinger tied with Curtis Holdsworth for fourth, and Lance Ringnold and Wes Suter shared sixth. And we also had a personal story of courage and triumph here in Houston. Last October, Tim Daggett shattered his right leg on a vault in the World Championships in Rotterdam. Many felt it was the end of his career. But this 1984 Olympian refuses to give up. He did not participate in the vault in these championships, but showed he is still a major factor in other events. Tim Daggett. Last up on the parallel bars.
There's a peach to a handstand. Now watch this, drop peach with a half to a handstand. That is so hard and so well done. Back upright straddle cut. After a giant straddle cut. Look at the nice rhythm. See, Tim has a good feel for pressing the handstand with a nice smooth rhythm and then banging a back toss, 2 in a row right to the handstand. Now you know Tim's thinking this one right here. Stutz handstand, here it comes. Tuck double back. Nails the leg.
Tim Daggett nails that dismount.
Look again, you can see he was good form in the air, but what's amazing about it is he knew exactly how to plant that landing so that he was able to land straight on top of his legs, not with any pressure on any one leg. He was right over the top of it, which of course makes it safe and clean.
It's a wonderful moment, and perhaps happiest of all is the athlete as he now waits for the score, which really is incidental. I mean, he satisfied himself that, at least for the parallel bars, that he could compete on an Olympic level, and that leg would take the jolt of all the force coming out of a difficult dismount.
And as you mentioned, Dick, Tim is taking event by event. He's got parallel bars, as you mentioned now. He's got parallel bars.
One judge gave him a 10 bar.
How about that?
We'll wait for the final 9.85 for Tim Daggett.
I never thought I'd ever have this feeling again in gymnastics. I've trained 17 years, and this is what it's all about, to go out in front of your peers and in front of the world and to perform well. It's a great feeling.
Well, with that great feeling and momentum carry over to the next event, the high bar and its capricious challenges.
Tim had to get by these 2 release moves, reverse heck to a ginger, no problem. Now, of course, Tim can do the rest of this exercise in his sleep, so at this point, he's thinking dismount. He's going to have to do a laid out double back.
And of course, with the height and the rotation, how would that left leg hold up under the pressure?
Here we go. Not a problem for Tim Daggett. Can you believe that, Dick, after seeing him crush his leg just 8 months ago?
And then on to the pommel horse, event in which he has excelled.
Tim, of course, won the bronze in LA on this event, scoring a 10 in the finals, and he just rips through this routine. This, of course, is his best event.
Tim Daggett, 4 weeks to the Olympic trials, where all 100% of his scores will count toward making the 1988 Olympic team. If courage and persistence count, Tim Daggett will be wearing U.S. colors in Seoul. Back at the McDonald's U.S Gymnastics Championships. 2 events down and 2 more rotations to go, and Phoebe Mills
maintains her lead ahead of Garrison Steves on the strength of her bars performance. Moves into second place. Ronda Fain, that's a bit of surprise, and her solid, consistent work moves her to third. Hope Spivey tied for first with Mills at the beginning of the optionals, falls to fourth. Hey, Shelley Stack, the little 15-year-old 74-pound dynamite, is now fifth. Do Yamashiro sixth, and Christy Phillips, moving up one notch with each rotation, is in eighth place. And on the vault, 17-year-old Stacy Gunthorpe. She is in ninth place, down from fifth after the compulsories. Her first vault was 9.8.
She nailed that landing.
Stacy Gunthorpe should move up with a fine score in the vault. We'll see whether or not the judges saw that better than 9.85.
You know, women gymnasts are a lot luckier than the men. We have two chances to nail that vault. And if the first one's off a little bit, we concentrate more on the second one to just nail it.
.90 for Stacy Gunthorpe, one of the top scorers of the day in the vault here in the U.S. Gymnastics Championships. Ronda Fain's 10, the best of all so far. The U.S. Championships as a prelude to the Olympic Games. Let's go back 4 years. 1984, a glorious gymnastic year in the Olympics for the United States. But prior to that, at the U.S. Championships, how did our two colleagues feel? Here's Bart Connor and Mary Lou Retton.
Mary Lou, looking towards this 1988 Olympic team, let's look back to 1984 and try and draw a parallel to where we were at this stage just prior to the Olympic Games. In my case, I was a complete mess. Back in the fall, I had torn my bicep just 5 months before this meet. I went into this competition, and halfway through, I landed on my head on floor exercise, and I had to scratch from the meet because I didn't want to carry a bad score in this competition to the final trials. I petitioned to the final trials and then counted 100% of my score at the final trials, and I just squeaked on to make the sixth place spot on the team. Now, in your case, it was a completely different ball game, wasn't it? You were really right on your game.
I certainly was. 1984, I was right on my peak. I was right on the roll. 1983, I was just in there. I wasn't where I really wanted to be, but I think I burst onto the scene and peaked just at the right time in '84 at the USA Championships. And then I think I carried that momentum on into the trials and through the Olympics.
So in a way, Mary Lou, if you could draw a parallel to the '84 team to the '88 team, you were sort of the Phoebe Mills, and I was the Tim Daggett.
To the music from Cats. And Garrison Steves concurrently on the beam, her strongest event.
Kelly is a beamer. Oh! Nice! Double back layout somersault.
There's 4 events going at the same time, and this is exactly the experience the fan has. Here are 2 women in their best event, and they're both at the same time, so you have to split your vision.
Hope's favorite event is floor, so she is feeling very comfortable, very good. Kelly, on the other hand, beam is a very pressure event.
She did score a perfect 10 in the NCAA competition earlier this year as she won the national title, collegiate title.
Nice cartwheel layout, step out. Kelly's one of those gymnasts that does every trick in the book. Very coordinated on a beam. Hope is going to be trying to finish with a full in-back somersault. Nice ending.
And a wonderful dismount for Garrison Steves. Double your pleasure. Hope Spivey and Garrison Steves on their best event, both performing magnificently.
Hope, for as small as she is, can get up there. Nice round off back handspring. High full in back somersault. Look at the body position she is when she lands at the end of a routine. That shows what kind of shape she's in, the endurance that she has to be able to finish that strong.
Hope Spivey. That music from Kat seems so perfect for her. She's a feline in nature. And Kelly Garrison Steves, the veteran of 13 years competition, 9.90. Outstanding for Garrison Steves. That won't hurt her. She's in the runner-up position. And Hope Spivey will give you her score after we once again examine her dismount.
She nails this landing. Solid.
To complete that 9.90, and Hope Spivey, she's smiling as well because she scores a 9.80. 9.80 for Spivey after dropping out of first place to fourth. That an outstanding number for her. After the compulsories, she was in 7th place. She's moved up to 3rd after her first 2 optional events, and now the balance beam for Ronda Fain.
Ronda is very consistent on balance beam. Always performs a solid routine. She's going to start out with a flip-flop, back layout. Oh!
Now the hands to the beam, how is that different from falling off?
It's just the same. When you touch the beam like that and she had to hold on and grab to fight to stay on, that's 5/10.
Well, she had hopes of something near perfect, but she'll not be close to 9.95 now.
But Ronda is a competitor. She can shake that off and finish with a strong routine. She's not the type of gymnast that it bothers her. Just continue. She's still very fluid. Nice aerial walkover.
Being as tall as she is, 5'5", is that a disadvantage on the beam?
I don't think so. It looks better on balance beam to have a tall, elegant-looking gymnast rather than a shorter one. Then she's got the bigger body to deal with. Nice round-up double back dismount, hop in front. I think she's a little bit disappointed with that routine.
Ronda Fain, she collects spoons. She says she has almost 50 now, and her favorite's from Holland because that's where she did best, 19th in the World Championships at Rotterdam.
She did the layout. You could see the left arm went across her body, caused her to lose balance. But she got it together. She got her focus. Nice high double back somersault, took a little hop on the ending. She's got one more event. Ronda's strong enough that she can recover and perform a very nice floor routine.
After the 3rd rotation, 1 to go. Phoebe Mills in the lead. Kelly Garrison Steves 2nd. Hope Spivey 3rd. Shelley Stack the surprising 4th. Ronda Fain 5th. Then Stacy Gunthorpe 6th. And Christy Phillips drops to 10th place. Brandy Johnson still trying to recover from that disappointing uneven bars performance, but an opportunity yet to finish in the final 6. Her final event, the floor.
And she is finishing strong. This is, of course, one of Brandy's stronger events. Watch this first tumbling pass. Falling back somersault in a laid out position. Incredible. Brandy has such remarkable strength. Really have not seen a gymnast in a long time with the power she has.
Pennsylvanian Tudor in the background.
The height she gets on that pass was a round-off back handspring whip back into a double back somersault. There's just no comparison, the height that Brandy Johnson gets.
And there's a pace and continuity as well, Mary Lou. Just no hesitation from one to the next element.
She's taking a breather. She's going to try and end with a full in-back somersault. Nice!
That was a good one. Oh my God, that was a good one. That was a good one. No, I'm proud of you now. Good job, little buddy.
As the song goes, Brandy, you're a fine girl. And that was a fine floor exercise.
Speed, the power, the height. This first tumbling pass laid out to a great landing. She almost landed that standing straight up. Now this is a very difficult pass to end with. The endurance she has, she does it easy.
Well, but for the 0.5 of a point that she lost on the uneven bars, Brandy Johnson would be in the top 5. We await her score. And it's a good one. 9.80 for Brandy Johnson on the floor. Currently in second place, Kelly Garrison Steves at 21. That doesn't sound old, but that makes her 3 years older than anyone else that is in contention. The top 10 in these U.S. Gymnastics Championships. And her final event, the floor.
Kelly's trying some new tumbling passes today. The more difficult ones. I think she and her coaches got together and say, hey, listen, I need to put more difficulty in my routines. Start with the nice triple full. Form was a little off. Her legs were apart.
Bart, you were by 3 years the oldest on our U.S. Olympic team in '84.
So I know she probably hurts a lot right now. It takes a couple aspirin before she performs. But actually, I've been so impressed with how well she's done in this championships because she's been through this baby before. And yet, look at that. If 1.5 threw it to a tuck double, she did go out of bounds, but that's a nice tumbling pass.
They call her Mother Hen, don't they, Mary Lou?
They certainly do. She is the veteran of the sport. She's been in the sport for a very long time at such a high level, and that's so hard to do.
Remember, Kathy Johnson was 24 in the games in Los Angeles, so she was certainly the old lady of U.S. Gymnastics.
Yeah, we called Kathy old grandma. Nice high double back somersault to end it.
Kelly Garrison Steves from the University of Oklahoma, the national collegiate champion the last 2 years. Let's go back and as she gets an embrace from her coach, Becky Buick, take another look. Did she go out of bounds here? It's her second pass.
Yeah, this is the 1.5 twist step out to the round-off flip-flop tuck double back. Good high reach, but she definitely over-rotated a little bit, and of course, that step back out of bounds will be 1/10 of a point.
And at this point, every 10th counts.
But happy that her optional rounds are finished. A 9.60. Kelly Garrison Steves looks as if that'll be good enough for second place. Back at the summit for the final optional rotation, Hope Spivey up. This is her second vault. She scored 9.75 on the first.
A beautiful round-off back handspring layout with a full twist. This apparatus, the vault, is one of Hope's stronger events. She doesn't really do a huge vault, but she does a good vault.
Spivey started today tied with Phoebe Mills for first place, fell to fourth.
after the bars and beam. But that floor score of 9.8 pushed her back up to third, and now we await the vault judging. What do you think, Mary Lou?
I think she's going to score well on this. Her second vault was better than her first. But that big hop, the judges are going to take at least 1 to 2 tenths because it really was a pretty big one.
9.80, so she does improve on the second vault. Hope Spivey currently in third place.
Great.
Christy Phillips started in 10th place after the compulsories, and this her final rotation in the optional. She is in 10th place. The beam, of course, one of the events where she has a special move.
Watch this mount. She's going to put her feet in between her hands. Such flexibility. She's got an incredible back. Starts out with a round-off layout. Solid. This is Christy's event. She is a performer on balance beam. She moves with such ease. Back straddle down. Nice pose, again showing more flexibility. One of her best features. Now watch this move. She does a planche, and then the move, which is called the Phillips.
Anatomically impossible, I would say.
Although in the move, she really didn't perform it as well as she used to. Before, her head almost touched her bottom. In fact, in some cases, it did. So you can see she's lost a little bit of that flexibility in her back. She's getting ready for her dismount. Round off, back handspring, double pike. Stop landing.
Well, she's finished with a flourish, Christy Phillips.
That was great. That was great.
Now, when you consider she left for the West Coast, she admits that she wasn't conditioning herself as she should. She gained a lot of weight, came back to Karolyi. They've really had her on a heavy diet as we watch her again, that flexibility move.
Look at that mount. Her back is like a complete O. Hands on the beam and feet on the beam at the same time.
This is the Phillips.
Certainly is. You can see that she has lost flexibility. Her bottom was a lot closer to her head last year. So she has lost quite a bit of her flexibility in her back.
Take points off just because she can still do something that maybe a lot of others can't. Her score is being posted now. She waits anxiously. And apparently the audience doesn't like the score. You hear the first time a reaction, a negative reaction. 9.80 for Christy Phillips in the beam. One judge gave her a perfect 10. But 9.80 the score for Christy Phillips. Well, Marta and Bella Karolyi not happy. They wanted more than the 9.80. We'll be back with more after this.
You done it.
Here's the 14-year-old Shelley Stack. She'll turn 15 at the end of this month of July. She is currently a surprising fourth.
Nice inverted planche. If Shelley makes this beam, herself and her coach, Marta Karolyi, will be happy. This is one of Shelley's weaker events. She's had a lot of trouble with consistency on balance beam. It's just because she's young and she doesn't have her focus and her concentration all together.
One of the youngest in the competition.
So back handspring, layout. You can see there's a little form break in her layout, but she nailed it. Little front handspring. Gainer back layout. Bent legs a little bit. She's still a little young and hasn't really developed the perfect form yet. Getting to the end of the balance beam for her dismount. A very high round-off double back somersault.
And look at that face. What a great smile. Shelley Stack. One of the many. Bella Karolyi. His team has done brilliantly here in these championships.
You can see the bent legs in the back handspring layout step out. And that's something that Shelley's going to definitely have to work on for Olympic trials and going into the Olympics if she is on the team.
Phoebe Mills on the floor.
Starting out with the nice high pike forward back somersault. Phoebe has really opened up her personality on floor. She smiles a lot. She's more open, and that's what the crowd likes. To get involved, to clap. That's something Phoebe has had to work on. She's a very closed person. She kind of loses her focus if she kind of lets it out a little too much.
Now this is totally effervescent thus far.
Second pass, round off whip back, catching double bike somersault. All Phoebe has left is her dismount, which should be ending with the double pike somersault. To the corner, here she goes. Beautiful ending!
They're on their feet here at the summit, recognizing the young woman who has just clinched the U.S. Gymnastics Championship. All around, Phoebe Mills.
Is a new champion. Good job, guys. You can wait for our public there a little bit.
So here are the final results. The compulsories and optionals added, and Phoebe Mills, clearly the champion of the United States at age 15. Kelly Garrison Steves, 2/100ths of a point ahead of Hope Spivey. Shelley Stack blossoms, the 14-year-old, finishes fourth out of nowhere. Stacy Gunthorpe is fifth. Ronda Fain, sixth, in a tie with Brandy Johnson, another youngster on the rise. Do Yamashiro, eighth. Christy Phillips, last year's champion, is ninth. So we've crowned the 1988 U.S. Gymnastics all-around champions. Now let's put it in the Olympic perspective, Mary Lou. What does this mean going to Seoul?
I think that things are looking very good for us. We have a new U.S. champion, Phoebe Mills, a well-deserved #1 spot for Phoebe. I really think the key to all of this is that we have some newcomers into the scene. Brandy Johnson, she had a few falls this competition, but managed to stay in 6th place. And a surprising little Shelley Stack. I think she surprised everyone in this competition. Watch for her.
And for the men, Bart, Dan Hayden, solid as a rock.
Yeah, Dan is so consistent, and I think when he's teamed up with Scott Johnson, who will be healthy for Seoul, I think that duo will really provide a lot of leadership for the U.S. team.
And the other 4 pieces in the pie?
Well, you can never count out Tim Daggett. He's surprised all of us here, and I think we were all impressed by how much he can handle, and he's coming back from that injury very well. We have a couple of youngsters. Lance Rignall looks very good. But I think the world gymnastics community will be very impressed with the improvement of the U.S. team that took 9th in the last 2 world championships.
So as we say goodbye from the summit in Houston, Texas, we say so with some unfinished business. Bella Karolyi, the top female gymnastic coach and program in the United States, and yet he's not going to Seoul. It's a reminder that in the sport of gymnastics that some of the egos still rank a perfect 10. And unfinished also the business for our champions, Dan Hayden and Phoebe Mills. For while they celebrate U.S. #1, it's still the Olympics ahead, and 60% of their score will be decided a month from now in Salt Lake City. And we're also left, as we say goodbye, with memories and visions of a man who personifies the Olympic spirit. Tim Daggett reminding us all that the victory is in the challenge, the fight, not the final result.
This road is so long and winding. It was such a hard road, but we couldn't stop once we had started. We were always getting closer. Suddenly it happened. Suddenly it happened. Suddenly, a chance in a lifetime. Chance in a lifetime. Now we're gonna take it. We can make it. When you put your heart in it, it can take you anywhere. Who's to say that we can't make it? It's the same dream that we share. Keep on believing. Keep on believing. Keep on believing. When you put your heart in it, when you put your heart, it can take you anywhere. Who's to say that we can't make it? It's the same dream that we share. When you put your heart in it, it can take you